Business Radio.
And welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Donyshia Boston Hill of Keeper of the Brand Marketing and Digital Agency, along with Ray Schwetz and Michael Chung. Welcome to the show. Mike?
We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview top business leaders in the industry.
Now, helping provide us with business empowerment today is culinary artist Gerard Brogdon.
Brogdon.
Gerard Brogdon, host of Foods and Dudes, and the Foods and Dudes executive producer, none other than the fabulous Tricia Messeroux of the T-Mez Group. Gerard and Tricia, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
So Gerard, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a very simple guy. I'm just a self-taught chef. Even though I hate using that word, I don't like to disrespect the people who actually went to school and learned all of that stuff. After several years of practicing my own businesses and doing things like that, I just decided to follow my passions for a while. And this is the one that I am pursuing right now. Like I said, I'm a self-taught cook. We've been doing this for our whole lives. And when I say we, I mean my family, the guys in my family. We are just about that life. You know, our mothers all taught us, you know what? You don't need a woman to cook for you. You don't need somebody to do it for you. If you like something, do it yourself. And, you know, that's one less quote unquote qualification you need in a spouse. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the basics about me.
So the background is basically mom taught you how to cook.
Mom, sisters, aunts, uncles, everything. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Mike?
So Gerard, you mentioned that you were inspired by your family as you were cooking. Who inspired you the most from your family?
I'll tell you what, my father, when he came up from South Carolina back in the 50s, his first job was at Woolworths. Now I'm really dating some stuff, but at Woolworths, he was a classically trained baker, actually. So my dad would do, you know, all the wedding cakes for everybody at the church. He would, you know, do all of that kind of stuff, you know, the hot cross buns in the springtime and everything. Like our kitchen always smelled like some fresh pastry or something like that. So, you know, just kind of being with him, you know, just watching him do what he did, I was like, this is amazing, you know.
Wow.
And of course, he's from the South, so he, you know, he had that background in, you know, old school barbecue, you know what I mean? So we would go outside and we would just spend time while we were, you know, doing the garden and doing the, you know, the yard work and stuff like that. The grill was always going. So I learned from my dad. I learned from my mother, who's also from the South, and, you know, she was just into all the Southern style cooking and everything like that. So, you know, between my mother and my father, my 5 older sisters, you know, my uncles, my cousins, everybody. I'm that kid at the barbecue. It was like, yeah, how do you cook that? Why this tastes great? How do I do that? I want to learn how to do that. So that was really where my initial inspiration came from.
Oh, I see.
That's fantastic. Now let's jump over to Tricia. You are a friend of the show, so thank you for coming back on. She always hooks us up with all her amazing projects. So this one is a really great one. So Tricia, how did you connect with G to produce Foods and Dudes?
Oh, I've connected with G for far too long, actually, on a personal standpoint. We actually met in college, and we've never left each other's side. And his one of his best friends is my husband. So there's a situation. So when it comes to food brings people together, right? And we have a group of folks, and it's 4 couples. So myself, my husband, Gerard and his wife, Marie, and 2 other couples. And what we do is every month we rotate whose house we're going to go to and have a meal and laughs and enjoy and just come together and break bread, right? The interesting thing is I've always known Gerard is just this amazing cook, and he doesn't just, you know, do some like macaroni and cheese. Like he really puts his foot in his culinary artwork, you know. And while we're going to all the different houses, 3 of the houses, it's like one of these things is doing its own thing. 3 of the houses are always led by women who are doing the cooking and the setting of the table and the whole thing or whatever. But every time we go to Gerard's house, we've got crab legs and lobster tails and asparagus and put us all to shame, right? So every single time I'm always like, you know what? You need a show. And it's my, me, I've been on the show before, on your show before, so very creative and we come up with ideas, but always said, we need a show, you need a show, you need a show, you need a show. And he's like, well, what are you waiting for? Produce me a show. So, longer story short, came together, brainstormed, and he said, I don't want to do an ordinary cooking show where it's just be me by myself, just, salt here, this here, whatever. I got to do it with someone else. And I said, you know what? The issue that we're having right here with our group is the guys don't do the cooking. Our husbands don't do the cooking. We do. So let's have a show where you teach the husbands or the boyfriends or the significant, whatever, you teach them how to cook. And that's where Foods and Dudes originated from. It's Gerard teaching men only right now. I mean, women, of course, we're taking notes, but Gerard is teaching men how to really cook. So that's where the idea came from.
That's dope. Now, Gerard, you seem like a manly man. So who are these dudes on the show?
Manly men. I mean, listen, I truly hate that term, you know what I mean? But, we're just regular guys, you know what I mean? Like, when I think of the show and we talk about it, it's like, you know what, this is going to be a barbershop feel. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be, think of, topics you would talk about in the barbershop and everything else. But instead of doing it something that society traditionally expects men to do, let's do it in the kitchen. Let's do it over a meal. Let's do something that we can, provide our significant others at the end of the day, and that's the deal. So it's a bunch of guys, some of them I know and I've known for years and years and years. You could tell from the first episode that clearly the three guys that were on the show were no strangers or anything like that. But I've had situations like that, and I've had guys who I've never met before walk in, and it's just as much fun. Like I said, it's very barbershop. It's you walk in and you join the conversation. Whatever's being spoken about and everything. It's a friendly, atmosphere. Nobody's in there getting, disrespected. You will get laughed at, not disrespected, but it's just a fun show. It's a good time.
These guys are, some of them, like he said, they're his friends. They're people that we've known for a long time. And then we have, through casting, we have a slew of men from everywhere who are writing in to say that they want to learn. And they're giving us their story. They're giving us like, I want to, maybe if I spice up some things in the kitchen, I'll spice up some things in the bedroom. I mean, they're taking it to that level because they want to treat their wives. We've been married for 15 years. I want to treat her to something special. Can G teach me how to do something different? And so the casting, yes, it starts with friends because as you're doing something brand new, you start with people but once we put the casting call out there, it's just been flooding in with guys who really, want to learn, but learn for a purpose.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'll tell you, you got to be a friend if you're dropping the filet mignon or you're crying in front of people.
Yeah, let me tell you, you can't make this stuff up.
I didn't script any of that. It was just so natural. The drop, but the funny thing is everyone's watching the first episode and they said just by the way he was holding the pan to the refrigerator, they knew it was going to be a disastrous situation. And lo and behold, it was a disastrous situation and we kept the cameras rolling.
I love it. So you mentioned casting. So how do people get on the show? Who they're contacting? Talk to us a little bit about the selection process.
Yes. So we are looking for men from everywhere, men of all kinds, race, whatever. So we want them to send in submission to team@teamezzcreative.com. So it's team@teamezzcreative.com and send in their picture and give us a little bit of information on who they are and what they think about cooking and things like that, just so we can get to know them. From there, we do a Zoom call. So being that there's, no in-person, whatever. So we do a Zoom call so that myself as the director and my producer, as well as the host, G, can get an understanding and feel and make sure the chemistry is right. And then, one thing leads to another, and then we, if it all works out well, we book them for the next production.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Donyshia Boston Hill, along with Mike Chung, and our guest today is culinary artist Gerard Brogdon, host of Foods and Dudes, and the Foods and Dudes executive producer, Tricia Messeroux of the T-Mez Group. Now, so getting on the show, being booked is a hurdle, and then now they need to show some talents. Like, what is it like? I heard someone say, I only do breakfast. I think that was Mr. Fantastic. Or, are there little appetizers? Like, what's going on? What are you teaching them, G?
I'm teaching them a lot. So what I do is select a menu, and that has a lot to do with how many guys are going to be on the show. So you've seen, the first show was obviously 3 other guys. So I had a bunch of stuff going on. I needed, a bunch that they could do. So we put together a really nice meal, a pretty complicated meal that had a bunch of parts. There are other shows where it'll be one guy, and for that, obviously, we tone it down a little bit because we're trying to keep it within a half hour. So we're doing everything. We're going from appetizers to entrees to desserts to, anything you want to cook. I'm trying to showcase a bunch of different types of foods. So we've done some Asian stuff. We've done some, Southern stuff. We've done some Caribbean stuff. Oh my gosh, wait until the next episode and you'll see this debacle. So it's a bunch of different things. So we're gonna span the globe and do a bunch of different things. We're just gonna keep it nice and interesting. So by the time it's all over with, after season 1, you should have a repertoire of anywhere from 8 to 10 entrees, some appetizers, some desserts and things like that. You can mix it up, follow along, and try it at home. That's
the biggest thing. It's not only entertainment, but it's an educated process too. So edutainment, as they say. So we do want people to walk away with information. So after the first episode aired, we have gotten a lot of feedback of people who, although it fell on the floor, but people who are actually trying the filet mignon, men and women. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's very cool.
So Gerard, you mentioned that during your when you're collaborating with your team, can you take us a little bit through the process of how you guys come up with the ideas of what you're going to do? You mentioned that you work with close friends and you grew up with your friends. So like how does it all start? Like do you guys just brainstorm, see what would be best, and go through the menu or potential menu items?
So what happens is Tricia will say, okay, this is your next show. This is what we're going to do. And I look at the guys and I figure out what level of skill they have. For the most part, it's nothing. So, which is awesome because I love starting from scratch. Right. Just again, it just kind of goes to show that anybody can do this. So when we're starting from scratch, I just choose a meal that can be done within the time frame of the show. You know what I mean? I don't want to choose something that's going to take 6 hours like a bunch of ribs and this and that we have to smoke for hours. We got to do something that can really be done and we can show a finished product within a limited amount of time. So I do that, and then I also look at what presents well, what looks nice. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that I like to eat that just don't particularly look good. We won't be making soup most likely on the show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Unless it's some sort of fancy soup, which I can do, but not really. So what I do is try to find something that looks nice, that presents well, because part of what we want to do is present our significant others or whoever we're trying to impress with a beautiful plate that they start eating before they even, put their fork to it. You know what I mean? Right. So that's the kind of the way I come up with what we're going to be making on each and every show. And there's a way to make anything that tastes good, you can make look nice also. You know what I mean? And that's part of it. So, we're going from actual flavor to actual presentation to actual happiness. That's what we're trying to do here.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And just so you guys know, so Mike has a background in the restaurant world. He's worked at a few restaurants in the city. And when I told him, Foods and Dudes was coming on the show, and he was already in the process of booking some restaurants. So this is a great kickoff to some projects that he's working on. So super excited about that.
Nice.
Most of my experience was from front of house operations, but you know, had the opportunity to work with chefs. You know, the main quality that I see in all chefs is perfection. I've just never seen so much love and passion that goes behind a dish. To customers, they don't really see beyond that. You know, they see the dish, they're entertained by it, they eat it, tastes great, but they don't really understand the passion that went through it, the history that it went behind that dish.
You know, what's interesting, Tricia was talking about the dinners that we have and everything like that. A lot goes into preparing a meal, into planning a meal and preparing it for someone to eat. So the last thing you want is for them to be sitting there like, thanks, that was great. You know, you want some,
Yep.
right. You want some actual excitement. You want people to enjoy what you're doing. So you take a moment, you step back, you learn the craft, and you present it to them in a way that, like I said, they're already in, just from the way it looks. And when they take that first bite, I got you. It's like a fish on a hook, you know? So that's the deal.
Now, I know just for all the listening audience and viewers, now they can see the show on YouTube. Trish, where can they kind of tap in? I saw your views are climbing. You're almost up to 1,000 views and it's growing. So congratulations to you both. But where else can they find out more details?
So, so definitely follow us on social media. So on Instagram, it's foods, FOODS _N_dudes with an S. Facebook, it's foods and dudes, completely spelled out, foods and dudes. And then our website is www.foodsanddudes.com.
Now, Trish, what have you, from a production standpoint, from a woman's standpoint, what have you learned, you know, being on the set of Foods and Dudes? I'm sure you got some tidbits you want to share.
Patience.
Well, well, they make fun of me because I'm constantly clutching my pearls when we're in production, because I'm literally like in a locker room, like with the guys, you know? So, because it's just all men, even my camera guy, I mean, it's just all men. So, working with guys, it's especially when they form, whether they already had a relationship or they form a relationship really, really quickly, like on set, you know, they can go many different directions because they're having so much fun, you know, and I have a job to do. So oftentimes it's just like, okay, welcome back. But the interesting thing is, you know, this is the very first time that I'm actually producing a cooking show, and didn't want it to be just another regular cooking show. Like I said, we want it to be entertaining. We want it to be real. We want it to be raw, you know, mistakes and all. Funny and the conversation is really important. So quite often, you know, they think we cut because we're gonna, you know, change cameras, but we'll leave one on because they'll start talking about stuff that I couldn't even script. So they'll talk whether it's, you know, raising, you know, children in the time of pandemic, or finances or sports or whatever it is, but they really get in deep, and that type of magic is amazing to me. The other piece of it is trying to really make sure that we do some creative editing in terms of, you know, Gerard is doing such a good job with trying to not make the meals be too long to make, but creative editing and, you know, that TV magic is really important too. So sometimes he'll pre-cook something two or three ways, and just, you know, we'll just go through the process as we do it. So it's a lot of moving parts. You know, we're a new show, so we are dealing with, you know, limitations in terms of, you know, it's not like we have, you know, the big giant kitchens, but we chose a kitchen, which is Gerard's, because it's beautiful. Like if you've seen it, it's like the aesthetics of the kitchen is amazing. So that makes me happy as a creative person. So there are a lot of beauty in the reveal of the food, in the set, in the humor, in the guys, and the rawness. But, you know, of course, with everything production, there's a lot of challenges too. But that's what I signed up for. So
absolutely, and keep the Gucci what is it? What's the Gucci shoes out of the kitchen?
Moochie.
The Moochie.
Never heard that one.
There were New Balances.
I saw that. Oh my, you know, you guys are right. You're listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is culinary artist Gerard Brogdon, host of Foods and Dudes, and the Foods and Dudes executive producer, Tricia Messeroux of the Team Mez Group. That's
My
Michael.
name is Michael Chung, along with Donyshia Boston Hill. I'm the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. We'd like to thank our guest today, culinary artist Gerard Brogdon, host
No,
of Foods and Dudes.
hold on. Not yet. Not yet. Do a pickup and ask a question.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, I'll
Gerard.
edit it at the 20. That's perfect. Go ahead, Mike.
Actually, Gerard, I forgot to ask you. It seems that you had a lot of memorable, I guess, memories with while you're cooking. But what were some of your challenging meals that you had to plan?
Oh man, let me tell you, the jerk chicken episode is something else. So if you know anything, yeah, look at Tricia's face. So the jerk chicken episode, if you know anything about jerk chicken or preparing anything with jerk, it's a 24-hour meal. You know what I mean? Like you literally have to marinate it forever. There's just a bunch going on with that. So
Did you know that? Did you know that, Donyshia? 24 hours?
No, I don't do jerk.
Oh.
you
Well,
would do this.
I hadn't until, I started taping this one, and I couldn't believe it's 24 hours to
Yeah.
marinate.
Wow. My dad, on the other hand, always at a jerk hut someplace. I'm like, yeah, that's too spicy for me.
No, for it to be done properly is like 24 hours. So I think that was the episode that Tricia was referencing when she's like, you got to cook it in parts. So, we go through how to make it, how to make the marinade and everything. We put it in a bit, we start to season it. Of course, I'm ready to pull out, something that's already been sitting there for like 10 hours or whatever. Then we have to cook it. It takes a long time. It takes a while to cook. So clearly I have to have some done already. You know what I mean? So it's a step-by-step process. And while the guys are participating in every step, I've got to plan ahead to make sure that, when they hit their benchmark, there's something that, I can use that takes away the enormous, time restraint. You know what I'm saying? So that's it.
Yeah.
I think that was the most challenging episode so far.
Yeah.
Wow. And what are some of the misconceptions about dudes in the kitchen that you're overcoming those obstacles?
That we don't belong there, that it's not something that traditionally guys do. You know what I mean? That's just absolutely not the case. I mean, we're in an evolved time, but it wasn't even true back in the day when I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how it works. How many dads are always on the barbecue grill while mom's inside cooking the sides? Or, dad will do the meat and I'll do this, or mom will do this and dad will do that. You know what I mean? Like, dad doesn't get to sit back and drink a beer at the barbecue. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Get up, get to work, do what you got to do. So that's a huge misconception. And, it's something that's enjoyable. It really is. If you put your back into it and open your mind, it's something that really is enjoyable.
Yeah. And I have to say, as a woman who cooks, but there is nothing sexier than watching your man cook an amazing meal for you, in the kitchen without your help, and he's really into it, like really, really into it, because, he's not doing the typical guy thing, trying to build a house or fix a car. But there's something beautiful and sexy about that image. And, especially if the food tastes good, even better.
Absolutely, because I only cook on the holidays type of girl.
Yeah, because your husband cooks.
That's right. So I'm all about men in the kitchen. That works for me. So I just want to get into, just a little bit, some last thoughts. What would you like people to know about the show, and just remind them again where they can check you out?
One of the things I'd like them to know about the show and to get out of the show is that, honestly, this is like your friends just hanging out and whatever else. Cooking can almost be a backdrop. You know what I mean? Like, it's an awesome show. You're going to learn how to cook, everything like that. It's well thought out. Trust me. If you want to learn how to cook, you can. But also, we're just having a good time. Like, it really is edutainment, as Tricia said. We are just having a great time. Please tune in, get a good laugh, learn something. Maybe you'll try something. Even if cooking isn't your bag or you don't want to try it, give it a look. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a waste of a half hour. Trust.
Fantastic. Yeah. Trish?
I co-sign everything Gerard said. I do think that the fellas or the dudes who never thought that they were interested in cooking or never even wanted to try it, interestingly enough, they're trying it off the very first episode. So we're getting that feedback. So it's just a matter of give it a chance, check it out, even if you just want to be entertained. But the biggest thing is, not all the shows, it's not a comedy show. Which is really important as a director to make sure everybody understands. We do have a lot of interesting other things going on, but what's most important is that you learn something from it. One of the feedbacks that I got from a couple of the guys was, oh, can I get actually the recipe, the breakdown? Because they really want to know. And these are people who have never cooked before in their lives. So I think people enjoy it. I think I want people to pass it around, share to your friends, your frat brothers, your buddies, everyone. Just share it, and let's see this grow.
That's fantastic. And tell them once again where they can go to find those recipes and find out more about the show.
Yes, you can always find everything on foodsanddudes.com. So it's foodsanddudes.com. And definitely follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and comment, give us ideas, whatever. We'll listen, we're here, and we're evolving and making this as most beneficial for everyone.
That's fantastic. Thank you both for joining us today. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
So I like to leave you with DB's philosophy. Real men wear aprons. Love is when he does the cooking. I love it.
I love it.
We want to thank you for being our guest. My name is Donyshia Boston Hill, along with Ray Schwartz and Mike Chung, your co-hosts and producers. This is an NCC Business Leaders Council production. Visit NCC/WHPC for more information. Available on iHeartRadio as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This is Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk to you next week.
Tower Talk Business Radio.